Ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of theories out there surrounding the Christopher Watts case, and a lot of those theories are not based in actual facts. And I'm going to try to help you understand one today that has been asked of me, and a lot of people have commented this over and over and over again. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who actually really believe this really is factual. The statement that I keep on getting over and over again is Nickole's cell phone pinged off the cell tower near the Watts' home the morning he killed his family. I get that so much, or some version of this. Or, you know, I put out a video and they say, well, look, her cell phone pinged off the tower near them. First off, the Watts' home is picture a highway running right here. Nickole lived up over here in the actual city, you know, close to the city in Frederick. They lived over here on that side of the freeway, off of Saratoga Trail. Okay, they're in zone 4. She's in zone 2. In order for her to go from here to there, she had to come down this way, up, and then turn into it. She went through not 1, not 2, but 3 areas that cell coverage towers cover. She didn't go past the towers themselves. She went into their coverage areas. So she would have pinged off of these towers to get there. So she wouldn't have pinged off of 1 tower. She would have pinged off of a total of 4. The one that her home is actually in, and then going into the one over here. But I know so many people are going to say, look, you're just taking it literal. We didn't mean she didn't ping off the other ones, but she pinged off that one over there. We know that one's real. Okay. Here's the problem with that. If Nickole was there and her phone pinged off that tower nearest to the Watts home, that means that she would have had to ping off the towers leaving. Either she went this way, she went all the way down like a 60-mile drive and then came back up and around. She would have went through other cell tower areas that way. Or if she went back up this way and then came this way and then went up to work, she would have pinged off of other towers. Either way, she would have been tracked. And the police would have called her in for an actual formal interview. Not someone where she wants to spin the story and tell them half-truths and, you know, not want to talk about certain things and play dumb about other things with her daddy there. They would have called her in with her attorney and sat down and said, look, Nickole, we've retrieved the data from your phone and the information from the cell towers. We know you were there that morning, or the night before, or the day after. We know you were there. They would have sat down and said, why would you lie to us? Now, tell us why you were there. Because you gave us, you know, without us, you know, having a court order, you gave us your phone. You knew we were going to get this information back from the cell company. Because they didn't just want the information that she deleted. Great, you know, the events have already happened and everything else. We already know Chris is guilty. But why did the police really want her cell phone? Because with the cell phone, they got the identifying number from it. Not the phone number, but each and every cell phone has an identifying number. All right? They needed that to request the cell data, the pings from the towers. With that, and having that information, the cell company helped them retrieve all the deleted information, the photos, the phone calls, everything. She deleted the pictures and stuff like that off of her phone. They recovered 100% of that. And with that information from the actual cell, they got the pings. What towers was she near? At what time did she ping off these towers? Was she near the Watts' home? The police got that information. At that point, if they would have seen that she had actually been there that night, that morning, or anywhere else, or been anywhere near the disposal site of the actual family, she would have been in deep doo-doo at that point, okay? But it didn't show up. Now, she could have taken her phone, deleted everything off of it, and then taken it outside, put it on the sidewalk, and taken a hammer to it, beat it into a million little pieces. That still wouldn't have deleted the cell information. The pings are not kept on your phone. They're kept on the tower. And then they're downloaded from the tower to the actual cellular network. They keep that information. And they didn't send it to Nicole, and then she got the information, and then altered it somehow, and then handed it to them. The cell company gave it directly to the police. Again, if they would have seen that she was actually anywhere near the actual site of the home, she would have been, had some real explaining to do, and they would have called her in for a formal interview. And why would they arrest her or actually charge her with something if they could prove that she was really there, that she was an accomplice to this crime, or she physically was there and took part in this? I know a lot of people think that, they closed this case, they rushed it, and they closed it really quickly because they wanted to wrap this up. In some aspects, yeah, they did. They did want to, but there wasn't, a rush to convict someone who wasn't guilty. They didn't stop, investigating. And when it came to the actual date, and you can check this for yourself, because you're on the internet and you're watching this video, that means that you have some form of internet connection. You can request the information under the Freedom of Information Act from the state of Colorado. You too can look at the date the case was closed. The date the case was closed wasn't the day that Chris took the plea, and then went to the jail and then waited, and then they snuck him out in the middle of the night and they shipped him off to Wisconsin. The case wasn't officially closed until after Chris went to Wisconsin. All that time, the case was still open. Part of the case was still open when Tammy from the CBI and the detectives went and talked to Chris in Wisconsin. Part of that was still open. They were still actively keeping up on the case and filing, and typing out all the reports and everything else. But the official close date of the case was well after he went to Wisconsin and was already there. Not while he's still in Colorado. They were still investigating and wrapping up loose ends. So where's the rush? He pled guilty. He confessed to it. He went to trial, well, at least a little bit of a trial that there was, for his plea and everything else. And there's still this tiny little part that's open. And that is Chris's two avenues to appeal. One, if he can prove that the court, DA or the judge did something wrong, improper in either the sentencing or the tabulation of time or something. If he can prove that they did something wrong, he can appeal underneath that. The other avenue for appeal, the only other avenue for appeal he has, if he can prove that he got no actual legal counsel that was effective. He has to prove that they didn't help him in the bargaining part for the plea deal. He has to prove that they didn't, advise him of his rights, that he could keep his stupid mouth shut. He has to prove one of those two, and he can't. He can't prove that. Was he mentally competent? Yeah, he had to be. The court had to make sure he was mentally competent and in a sound mind before he could take the plea deal. For those out there who don't believe that he was of sound mind, I'm sorry, but he had to. That's the law. The law in every state. You can't take a plea deal if you're mentally insane. You cannot be found guilty of a crime if you're mentally insane at the time you enter into it. That's the law. He doesn't have that. He was evaluated, and they proved that he was mentally competent to stand trial, and he knew right from wrong when he did it, and that is how he entered into the plea deal. All that is beforehand. So many people want to believe Nicole physically was involved in this crime. Let's look at this now. If her cell phone pinged off that tower, there has to be a tiny grain of truth there. And why would people want to believe that her cell phone pinged off a tower near the Watts' home on this day? Because that grain of truth adds to the truck on the street. If her truck was on the street and her cell phone was there, that means that she was there physically involved in the crime. Cell phone there, truck on the street. That means that she is the person in the driveway. You can't have this person in the driveway and her truck being there if her cell phone is not there. Well, maybe she left her cell phone at home. Great. She could have left her phone at home, and her truck still could be there, and the person in the driveway, if there was a person in the driveway, that could be her. But the same person who's telling you that her cell phone pinged off the tower near the Watts' home is the same person telling you that her truck was there and that she's another person that was in the driveway. He's using that grain of truth to tell you this, to support this, to support this. You can't have it that way. Well, maybe what she did then was she removed the battery from her phone and then put the battery back in when she got there. All right, let's look at that for a second. Excuse me for a minute. Let's pause this video here in a minute. Go grab your iPhone and take the battery out of it. I want you to do that. Nicole had an iPhone 8 at the time. So I know it's an older model, but that's what she had. Go take the battery out of your iPhone 8. I'll wait. Oh, you're back so quick? It's not easy to take that battery out? So let me tell you how you take the battery out. You take the little screw off from the bottom, all right, and then you take a little plastic pry tool, you pry the glass away from the case. There's a gasket that runs around the entire thing, so it's not easy. Otherwise, you're going to shatter the glass. But if you got to do it carefully. You get that seal undone, all right, and then you pry it open. You'll get it about that far, and there's a little ribbon cable there you need to remove. You pull that ribbon cable off, and then you can open up the phone about that far. Now there's another ribbon cable, 2 screws that you need to remove, and the metal bracket that runs across it looks kind of like a backwards L. You remove that, 2 screws there, 1 screw there. These are tiny little screws that you're going to need a magnifying glass to actually see, and you're going to need some good light. And she's not going to want to reassemble it in the dark in her truck, and she's not going to want to turn on the dome light so it draws more attention to her there on the street, because that probably would catch more attention to other neighbors who would have definitely seen, hey, there's a strange truck out there on the street behind Chris's truck, and they got a dome light on. I should probably pay attention to that. You would think, because we know there's other vehicles that have gone by, so other neighbors are awake. So she couldn't have reassembled it in the dark. So we have to think, well, then did her cell phone ping off that tower? Because if she reestablished the battery back in the phone there, she would have to then restart the phone, boost it all back up, turn it back on. And why would she take her cell phone there and put the battery in it to call? Did she want to call Chris inside the house? All right, it's time to kill the family. This is what we're going to do. All right, okay, I'm here. Why would she want to put the battery in? All right, if he's already killed the family and she's been in contact with them, all right, and that's why she's there, or she's there to help him, or to encourage him to do this, whatever the reason is. Why take the cell phone with her in the first place? Leave it at home. Nobody will ever know you're there. That would have been the smart thing. But the person told you her cell phone pinged off the tower, and that is why her truck was there on the driveway, and she's the person on the street, and she's the person in the driveway. You see the problem here? All you got to do is just think for yourself. Just put your hands over your ears. Don't listen to what somebody has to say before you watch the video. Because he wanted you, he set it up very clearly. And I'll give him credit there. He did it perfectly. He hyped it up, and then he told you, as you were watching it, exactly what you were about to see in this video. And this was proof that this was here, and that this happened. 1, 2, 3. They're all connected. If you look at it long enough, you can pick holes through all of this. The truck, Betty, that neighbor Betty. Betty saw the truck. Betty's the clue right there. All right, let's talk about Betty. Betty, one, that hour in the morning, let's just say she was wearing her glasses. She didn't tell that officer in that little transaction in that video that she saw this truck, and she was able to give at least two identifying marks. One, Nickole's truck is a small little Toyota. It's not a full-size pickup truck. It's a small little Toyota. It's gray. It's lifted, and it has a giant decal down the side. She never mentioned the lift, the actual color in that video, nor did she say anything about the truck except for the license plate. How did she, that license plate, she saw a license plate that was different. She remembered that. Nickole's truck has a green and white standard license plate. Didn't have a specialized license plate. Although Colorado does offer several specialized license plates, hers has a standard truck license plate for the state of Colorado. Nothing odd about that at all. So I don't know what Betty was trying to describe, but it wasn't that. I've had this video examined by two separate independent companies who didn't know that I sent them this video. Both of them specialize in CCTV, handwriting analysis, and they've testified in cases, federal, state, and local levels all across the United States, and some in Europe and some in Canada. They are experts in the field of forensic analysis of video content. Neither one of those two companies saw another person in the driveway. They saw nothing that said that there was another person in the driveway. Shadows, anything at all from that video. I can poke holes in this. Someone with a third-grade education can poke holes in that one. And this one. Why would she take her cell phone? Need more proof that this didn't happen? Neither the FBI, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, the Frederick Police Department, the DA, no one has ever released a single statement saying Nickole's phone pinged off a tower near the Watts' home, or it did, or didn't. They've never made that statement. It's not in the discovery. It's not in anything that they've ever said. There is no official proof that that cell phone pinged off a tower or that anybody said it at all. It doesn't exist. There's no factual information that points to her cell phone ever being there. Why would you believe this? If there's nothing at all to support it, you believe it because you want to believe it. You believe it because you want her to be physically involved in this crime. And knowing that you've already damned her to hell because she was involved with a married man who committed a horrific series of crimes. You want her to be physically involved. You want to believe that she did more than this. But she didn't. The facts are the facts. You can't change them. Thanks for watching. I really do think you will start thinking for yourself and question what people are telling you. The more you know, the better off you will be.